Hello, everybody. This is Julio from Next Scientist, and I'm very glad to have today here with me Olga Degtyareva, the productivity coach for PhD students and young scientists. And how
Hey,
are you, Olga?
very well, thanks. I'm really excited to be here and really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, me too. We had a conversation a while ago. I really liked it, and I thought, well, let's do another interview with Olga because people really get a lot of knowledge and practical tips. And what I've been getting a lot of comments and emails in Next Scientist, and people ask, of course, about productivity, but specific productivity tips for writing. It seems it's like a nightmare for for scientists how to write and how not to get stuck with writing. So this is
Yeah,
one of your topics. So I was wondering, what do you have to say about
absolutely.
that?
Yeah, I love to talk about writing and productivity with respect to writing because we all need to write. I mean, I haven't met a scientist that doesn't need to write it, that as a paper or they're writing the thesis or it's an application or it's reports. We need to write and it's difficult.
Yeah, and you feel the pressure because I remember when I was doing my PhD in my faculty, the criteria so you would be allowed to defend your thesis is that you would publish 4 peer-reviewed papers. Four. That was like it looked like a monster to me. How am I gonna publish 4 papers? I don't know how to write. So, well, it's a lot of
Yeah,
stress.
this is like a huge thing. And again, this is different from university to university. And for some, it is writing 4 papers or writing 3 papers. But for some, you do your PhD, you do it, you experiment, and then suddenly at the end, you're like, okay, it's time to write up your thesis. And then there is like an unsurmountable task, it's a huge task. And it's good that at some universities they are do now, for instance, here in Edinburgh, where I was PhD student and I also got to supervise PhD
Hmm.
students, they actually require a yearly report now every year, which I think is so helpful because you're required to do around 30 pages every year on your progress, and then later you can use that as for your thesis as a basis for your thesis, because this is where my first strategy is about having, writing all the time. Don't wait until you're finished with your lab work or finished with reading or finished with anything. Start writing now, because later on you're going to be sitting there and not having written anything. So, and this is kind of advice back to myself because I didn't do it either when I was a PhD student. It only comes after, this realization that if you start writing earlier on, this is so much easier. And even again, I've heard that advice that I'm now passing to PhD students. If you start writing 100 words a day, you never need to write your PhD.
That's right. It's that we don't do. It's like we realize at the moment, oh, now I need to write a paper, and you start writing it, but you're not fit. You haven't practiced enough, and you're not in shape to start writing a paper from scratch. And like you say, if you practice a little bit every day, it feels natural to write, and you're also not scared. And at the same time, if you every day you write 100 words, 500 words, it's not that much. After a whole year of doing that, you have so much content. You could write already 10 papers out of just that.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very, very useful tip. But the question is, why don't we do that? What stops people from writing?
Right. Well, this is the question, why don't we start writing 100 words a day? I mean, many of us just don't know. I mean, we come to do a PhD and we are told to focus on the lab work and to do. So really today, I really would like to offer the strategies to those of you who already on that journey or at the end of this journey, and you need to write. I mean, you didn't write before. You think you don't have anything, and you need to start writing. And so I assume there are many people watching this video who are in this situation. So for them, it's not a good advice, start writing at the beginning of your PhD, because they are already in the third year or the fourth year at the end. So really right now you were told by your supervisor, or you realize that you need to start writing, and then there is this huge pressure and a huge procrastination. You do anything but writing. Yeah, you come to work every day with this intention, I will sit down to write, but it doesn't happen. There are other things that come up, like maybe a conference proposal, or you need to introduce a new postdoc to the lab because you're an expert, obviously, in the lab.
But I think, or even worse, I mean, I was wasting a lot of time just checking Facebook, social media, or fooling around, I don't know, looking at the news and anything but writing.
Writing. Or even, look up for useful information that you see, okay, actually, I'm doing like a literature review, or I'm looking for some more useful paper, and even more useful papers. But you do anything but writing, all right? And so this is like a reality for many scientists, and, there are very good strategies that I have now developed that I would love to share with you. But I just really want to address this question, why do we procrastinate? And I actually dived into this topic deep and really researched, where does it even come from? And the big part of our procrastination comes from that feeling that I have to do it. I need to sit down and I have to do it. I have to do it because my supervisor told me. I have to do it because I have to get that PhD. I've already invested 4 years. It's not possible that I'm not write it up and defend it. It's going to be embarrassing, or it's going to be a failure. I have to do it. I have to do it. So the minute we have that thought, we procrastinate. We basically kill any motivation. And this is really important to just realize that this is how you approach your desk, with that thought that I have to do it. Because once you realize that you don't have to do it, there is an amazing freedom comes with this, liberation. You don't.
It's something external to us then. It's something imposed on us, and then we don't like that and we skip it, or.
Exactly. It's like that relationship of a slave and a master. When master tells you you have to do it, what the slave does, they postpone it or do it badly. And that's what kicks in. We would postpone it, or just do it really last minute, which we know it's not our best work. And how to deal with it is exactly to turn it around, to really realize that you don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything in a way. That's, when people ask me, how you manage to be so productive, and because I know every day that I don't have to do anything. So anything I do is my choice. So I put their positive energy into this. So I ask myself, well, if I choose to do it, why would I do it? What would be the motivation? And you really want to find a constructive motivation, because a lot of us driving ourselves I have to write the thesis with a guilt, with blaming ourselves, with thinking, oh, so many people already invested their time and money into this project, I can't possibly let them down. Does it sound familiar?
Yeah.
Have you or any of your readers shared that?
What I was thinking is let me see if I understand. The way it works, you say, is we're expected to write, we're expected to do a PhD, and in a PhD or a postdoc, we're expected to write, and that creates us a bad feeling. So we should turn it around, and it should come from us, that I'm choosing to write, I'm choosing to do this PhD. Is it what you're saying?
Yeah. In a word, you need to find that substance inside you where you can make that choice. Why do you choose to write it? What good is going to come out of this? And for some of the people, it would be, well, actually, I do want to make a contribution to the general knowledge, or I want to make a mark in my field. That was the case in my PhD. I mean, what I have been discovering has been like really no one went there before. Like there are certain conditions, no one looked there before.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely making a mark in my field. For some of us, you know, you need to realize that you need to put it in writing so that other people can hear it. So
Exactly.
your motivation could be, I have something to say that other people need to hear.
I want to share something.
Yeah, absolutely. And for some people, yeah.
I was thinking that maybe it also comes from being also proud of your work. So if you are proud of your work, then you think this piece of work deserves to be published. This piece of work deserves to be shared with other scientists that might find it also interesting and
Absolutely.
work upon that, right? But
yes. So these are all very good motivation, but you know, for some of us, it's not going to be the case. We are like, what?
and how do you change it? How do you, because it's all in your head, and that's, I can imagine we don't change that like this in 1 second, right? What can somebody do to change their state of mind and how they see writing?
Well, the way we do here, the productivity for scientists, we call it affirmations, which for some of the people it can be like a scary word, but anything you think are the affirmations. And right now, the people here who listen to this video, you know, you might be thinking, well, it's gonna take too long, or you know, you have this fear of rejection of the criticism, or it's, you know, for some of you, it's already been published, or someone just published the paper, so you have this huge resistance to write it up. I mean, I went through this. I know exactly how it feels, right? Or it's, you know, I don't know enough. I am not good enough yet to write it up. Or all these thoughts, these are also affirmations, but they're negative affirmations. They're not helping you to write. So the way to overcome procrastination is to realize that and turn it around and start affirming different things. Well, for some of you who are afraid that it's going to take too long, well, it will take as long as it takes. I mean, honestly, you just take one step at a time. I am moving with my project one step at a time. I have something to share what other people need to hear. This is it's your daily focus. So your writing needs a daily positive focus.
Exactly. I think, and what you said before of writing 100 or 500 words a day, I think that also takes a bit of the weight out of your shoulders, because you're not focusing on, I need to write a paper that's very big. You just say, today I write 100 words and I'm going to be fine. And tomorrow again, you write just 100 words. So it's much smaller. But then what you need to know is that if you just keep doing that, you're just going to be fine. Everything's going to work out. Because after 3 months of writing 100 or 500 words a day, you'll have a publication.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be fantastic. Every day you write 100 words. They don't need to be the best paragraph ever. Just write something. And knowing that you follow the right steps will take you to a paper.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are already ahead of your journey and you can't afford basically write 100 words a day. So what we do here, what I recently done with one of the prior clients, that she told me exactly when is her deadline is, when she's expected to submit. You know, the university has a deadline. So we calculated how many weeks they are until the deadline. Then we knew, she estimated how many words she still needs to write, which is very possible to estimate. You can go to your department and see what are usually the submissions. You can take the lower limit.
Yeah.
If you're very close to your submission. You know, it doesn't matter if you submit a smaller thesis, you're going to be fine in your career. You know, no one is going to come back to you and say, oh, your thesis was very, very small. So you calculate this so and so many thousand words. and you divide one by the other. So you divide the number of words you need to write by the number of weeks you've got, and you get that number. So, like 500, well, let's see, 1,000 words a week or something. And then you just stick with this. And that's exactly like you say, you sit down and you just type whatever. You just need to type them, and you need to get up with that feeling, I've done it. So this is how exactly you do that. So that's how one of the strategies to overcome procrastination.
Exactly, to chop it into digestible pieces, right? Like, it's not just the monster, it's just 200 words a day. I have done I've written the 200 words. That was my goal of the day, done. Now I can just celebrate and move on to the next thing.
Absolutely. And you know what? This is like so, so important. I just want to stress it again, because you need to, like, on a daily basis, you're not even allowed to think of your PhD as a whole, because it's like, oh, I need to finish my PhD, I need to finish my paper. You need to think of concrete tasks. And you need to learn to celebrate them, because I talk to scientists and ask them, like, what did you do like in the past months? And they say like nothing. And when I start asking them about their paper or about their thesis, they would say they actually did 3 figures. They actually wrote 5 paragraphs for one of the chapters. They actually typed up 10 references, or they looked at the 3 papers. I mean, this is all tasks, and you need to learn to acknowledge your progress. So basically, you need to acknowledge your progress to feel progress. And feeling progress, this changes everything, because there are so many people that are just longing, I wish I can have the progress. But actually you need to learn first to acknowledge the progress. You need to acknowledge, okay, I've done that task. This could be a huge difference for many people.
And so that's one part, like, to change your habits and start getting into the good habits of writing regularly. But something I had is, once I start getting the good habit, I get some sort of feeling, like a vertigo feeling, like, whoa, I'm doing it well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets a bit like scary, like, is this me that is doing things well and being productive and writing regularly? And then I get this kind of feeling of, whoa, let's go back to the old me. How do you just continue doing it? Because you write 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4. How do you just make sure that you just stay on that track and just keep writing? You don't stop. You don't go back to your old habits.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, why would you go back to your old habits? It's almost like you are sabotaging yourself,
Yeah.
isn't it? And I wonder, I obviously heard that behavior, and I've noticed it in myself. So I wonder if it's a bit of a fear of success.
That could be.
So it's like, oh, it's going fast, or I'm going to be like too fast. Now I'm going to finish too early or something.
So do you have some tricks to keep the good pace and not to lose track?
Okay, so if you talk about getting off track, that this is fine. We can talk about it, but I just wanted to address this. Like you say, oh, I'm going, like, well, I've observed it in this very interesting phenomenon that people start to sabotage their own success, and I find it's almost like that fear of success, because obviously if your writing is going well, if you're progressing, and you're managing to see your friends. Actually, I remember that one of the private clients, she came back, she followed my suggestions, do like 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon of writing. It's just 4 hours. And she had time to do her other tasks at university. She had time to go swimming, to see her friends. And it was like last 2 weeks, she was really on track. And the other people like, why are you not worried? Why you look too happy? It's like, of course, you are like absolutely out of proportion of what is expected of the PhD student.
You should be suffering.
Also, you should be suffering. And also, you also can't go around and complain anymore. So in a way, you need to grow inside. You need to also be like, well, actually, I'm doing it. I can do it. So you need to let go of a lot of your victim stories. Oh, poor me,
Yeah.
no one is helping me, nothing is working. You can't be going around and saying this anymore. So I've experienced it with myself a lot because, I had like amazing things happening over these years. And so I couldn't be going around and talking to my friends, oh, poor me. So that's what you need to let go of. You need to say, okay, I'm doing it. I am actually moving towards my PhD, the end of it. And the other aspect, like you say, how do you stay on track?
Yeah, that's very
Right?
important.
This was the other question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the trick is to learn how to get back on track once you get off track.
Okay.
So getting off track is not a question of if, it's a question of when. What do you get off track? We all get off track,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we are all humans. We cannot always.
Yeah. So we all get off track, and the problem is with most of us that we get off track and then we beat ourselves up. Oh, I must have been not cut out for this after all. Something must be wrong with me. I'm not good enough after all.
Yeah.
So, but really what I've been learning from this, like very successful people, what they do, they have this special ritual of how to get back on track quickly.
Okay.
Because if you can do it, then you can save yourself, because so many days or so much time, because what we do, we get off track and then we're like, maybe we get sick or we need to travel for the conference, and then it messes up our writing ritual, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we come back and we are off track, and then we spend another 2-3 days beating ourselves up. So instead, what I've designed is a recovery ritual.
Mm-hmm.
It's a recovery ritual. So you can introduce this, and once you notice that you're off track, you're like, that you do this, you forgive yourself for getting off track. You get back with your why. This is what we talked at the beginning of the video. Why do you want to do it in the first place? It might have changed actually.
Mm-hmm. So,
but it's good to get back to it. And then you ask, do your writing ritual, which I don't think we really defined it in this conversation. I keep talking about this writing ritual, but really it's something that I recommend that you have a specific time when you write. It's 45 minutes for your paper every day or once a week, depending on your schedule, or for your thesis, if you're very close to your deadline, it's 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours late in the day. So this is your writing ritual. And then when you want to get back off track, you want to start with something lighter.
Yeah.
You just want to get back, 30 minutes for your paper, check back in, where are you? What
Mm-hmm.
needs to be done? And then celebrate. Yeah. So this is your recovery ritual. How does it sound?
It sounds good. It's like, at least you don't keep doing the perpetuating the bad habit. You just stop it and try to save the day somehow. That's also something I try to do sometimes. Was, okay, I know I need to write, like you said, 1 hour a day. Oh, it's like 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, I need to leave the faculty and go back home. Well, at least I'm going to write 30 minutes. It's better than nothing. It's not my 1 hour goal, but at least I'm going to write something. And like that, you can still live with a positive feeling.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we think that because we lost track, we're just allowed to keep in that direction. And like you say, it's important to go back, to have some habits, and you need to catch yourself somehow. I can recall it in myself, not related to writing, but I also had it while writing. I love cookies. And I have a tendency to get overweight. So when I'm trying to lose weight, then I'm a good boy on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, but then comes Thursday, and I see the pot full of cookies, and then I take one. So I break my good habit, my routine, But then I need to say, well, one is enough. Then I go back to be a good boy instead of, well, since I already ate one cookie, I can eat another one and another one and another one. And as soon as I realize, I'm just back to my bad eating habits. And I think with writing, it's also the same. Well, you write.
Absolutely. Yay. I love it. I'm going to take it on board, the cookie
Yeah.
getting off track or cookie habit. You know, this is exactly what I teach is like there is no bad day. It's only bad hour. So,
Yeah.
you know, if something bad happened and you like didn't do anything like for the whole day, even for the whole week, I'm actually a fan of planning weekly because you can save yourself
Yes.
like really, really well. You know, if you plan to do something in a week and, you know, it's like, yeah, Monday I'll do it. And then there is like a machine breaks in the lab and, you know, there is like a lab emergency or something. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you're like Friday evening, oh yeah, I wanted to do this, and you can still save yourself. So weekly planning really rocks.
Yeah.
Because you can always do like so you set yourself a weekly goal for writing, and you can always cut it up. And like you say, you know, you had one cookie, you don't have to go down that path. You can just say, okay, you know, it's not a bad day, it's just been a bad hour, and I can still get back on track.
And yeah, that I really like that. It's like you have some systems in place to catch yourself when you're losing track. And I wanted to go back to what you said because I think we didn't stress the importance of it. When you said that you know how much you need to write, 10,000 words, and you just break it down, how much time do I have? So then I need to produce 600 words a day, and then I'm going to be fine. And I want to stress the importance of measuring things. I've been reading the 4-Hour Work Week, and it's a book that one of the main messages of the book is what gets measured gets done. So if you know what your goal is, 600 words, you know what you need to produce that day. And it's just, I'm going to sit down just to write 600 words, good or bad, it doesn't matter. That's my goal. I write the 600 words, done. I can move on. And you know you have accomplished what you wanted for that day. And that's very simple to measure. And then once you have a well-defined, measurable target, you just do it. You just go then to your word processor, check how many words do I have today. Oh, done. Forget about it.
You know what? By the way, I love this book. It's been like really influential in my journey. And exactly, you know, what you measure gets progress. And I inspired scientists, you know, to check the H index, to check how many citations they have, you know, because what you keep focus on, it will grow. And the same with your thesis or paper. And, you know, like, because I come from physics and we always do graphs, one against other, you know, what I did is a graph, how many pages or words, how many words or pages and days. And you just see, and you can post it on Facebook, or like we have always like a Facebook group for the programs I hold, you know, and post that graph, daily updates. You know, that's anything that can inspire you, anything that can show you progress will be really good.
I read somewhere this comedian, Seinfeld, had a way of, because a comedian you see is standing up and telling jokes, but in fact he's a writer. He spends most of the time just writing the jokes and the stories he's going to tell. So he also needs to write daily. What he has is just a system to visualize that he's in good track. And that is, he has a calendar in paper, and he just marks in every day in green, today I wrote my 500 words. So you have, okay, this day, green, and then the next day, green, green, green. After a while, what he has is a chain of green. And then what he says is, I don't want to see any gap in that chain. So you just force yourself to keep making that chain long. And if you miss one day, then he says, I want to see as much green as possible in here. So, okay, I have a gap because I didn't write that day, but I'm going to make sure I keep writing so I mostly see green here. And then when you visualize it, you see, oh, I'm doing pretty well. And then you realize, I can do this.
Yeah, it's really good. Like very visual.
And there are, like you say, you could share it with friends or you could share it in Facebook. Like the same people say, I went to run, I ran half an hour. I mean, good track to being healthy. You could do the same with your
Writing,
writing.
absolutely. Absolutely. And like you say, these visualization tools, and I think they are so powerful. And this is what we practice here. The productivity for scientists is a visualizing your final goal. And I find it like so powerful. And this is, because a lot of us think negatively about this final goal. Oh, it's going to be so hard and difficult. How I
Hmm.
am ever going to um, write up this paper, or, the communication with the colleagues are going to be so long. They're never going to reply to my emails, or the supervisor is going to take so long.
Hmm.
They're so busy. So this is what our usual thoughts and basically that negative attention is. But when I take scientists through this exercise of visualizing this final goal. And what I mean, if you want to write up a paper, and I encourage everyone to actually choose a journal as soon as possible, like right now, choose a journal and then go there to their website and really look at the heading and imagine you're going to be in that listing, your
Hmm.
name, your surname, et al., and your paper. And you know what happens with some people, and I actually already experienced that they get quiet on the other side of the call,
Hmm.
because I work with people by Skype, and they tell me I get so emotional. I can't even believe. I mean, that's like all sorts of emotions come up. I can't imagine to be published. And of course, what they think, they share with me, like, I'm not good enough for that. I haven't done enough for that. For some, it's like, really? I'm going to be published in this journal? For some, it's like a first paper. For some, it's like a much higher
Yeah.
profile paper that they ever published, right? So just to do this exercise and visualize, and for those of you who do the thesis, just work on that volume of the thesis that you need to write up, visualize that it's on your palm, how heavy it is, or you can take someone else's thesis. Or what I remember from after printing, how it smells, the freshly printed pages, and you go to the grad office and you slam it on their desk and say, that's it.
Exactly.
Visualizing this, a lot of stuff comes up, and if you can work through that stuff, you can be that much closer to your goal.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Visualizing the end, right? Like I had that, like you say, like when some of my friends were finishing their PhDs, then I, I went to the defense of my friends, the PhD defense, and then I was there in the defense room, all very fancy, and I saw all the ceremony, and I thought, I want this also for myself. I want to be here soon and have the same ceremony and defend my PhD and be proud of it. And also, like you say, I got the thesis of my friends and I started looking at them. I thought, I'm going to have a book like this. I'm going to make this book. And a bit silly, I look at the cover of the thesis of my friends. I thought, well, that's a cool one. I also want to make a cool cover for my thesis. And that I always had those images, the room where the defense takes place, and the cover of a thesis, and I thought, I'm going to do that.
Yes, yes. And you know how much closer you got yourself to your goal? It's like amazing. And like you say, it's a bit silly, but this is exactly what we do. Like right now, we have this, all the people I'm working with, they're working on making a mock representation of their final goal. Do actually make a cover for your thesis. You can make it now. I mean, nothing is stopping you. Put the logo of the university, put the title, your name, and really visualize it with a positive feeling. Like really imagine that it's going to be happening. The same with the paper. Go to the library and get actually the real, journal that you want to be published. Have it on your desk. Have it on your mind every day, because what happens is just gets on the back burner and then we forget that's what we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So visualizing or having that representation of your final goal is an amazing tool. Yeah.
That
Hey.
that helps a bit, yeah, to to see something that makes you happy. That's how you go back to your why. Why do you write the paper? Because it gets me closer, because I want to get closer to defending. And I want, in my case was, I want to be in the ceremony. I wanted to be dressed with a smoking, with a traditional dress of a PhD defense. And I wanted the whole show just to celebrate it. And that's why I was writing. And that's why I was making an effort to finish up my thesis. So I think that visualization of the end goal and seeing it as something positive and that makes you happy, it's important for the daily grind, because at the end of the day, you need to just sit down, write your words, and trust that it's going to work out.
Absolutely.
Olga, I think we could be talking for hours. We have covered a lot, but there's also a lot more to cover. We just covered a few tips and some hacks people can use to boost their productivity while writing. But there's way more they could just hear. Where can where can they learn more about productivity when writing?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you see, I'm very passionate about. I'm giving lots of strategies and tips actually weekly on my website. So it's olgadegtyareva.com.
We're going to have links under this video so you can check the website of Olga. And
so
more.
But right now I'm actually organizing a class so where I can lead people over 8 weeks, because I know, even some people say I watch videos, they're really, really good, but then I rarely implement them. So for some of us, it's really important to have an end and a beginning and an end, and accountability, and being part of, organized environment, and this is what I'm offering right now. So it's a start.
Is it like an online course, or is it presential? You need to be somewhere, or?
No, it's an online course. So it's start writing and get it done online course. So you start writing and you get it done online course. So it's 8 weeks. So you can actually cover a paper or two. So people manage this during the course, and you can make progress with your thesis, like a chapter, or if you're really close to the end, you can do, you can actually finish it with this course. So this is what I offer. It's an online content, but I'm also there with you. I'm actually offering Q&A sessions. I'm going to be answering questions, and I'm going to be there on our private forum. I'm really, passionate about helping people, and this is what we're going to do. So if it resonates with you, what I've shared so far, it's going to be that step-by-step, very structured content, very down to the point, and you can apply it to start writing and write your paper, and you're going to have my support.
Well, I think that sounds fantastic, and this is the type of courses and support that I think a lot of us are missing when we're doing a PhD, because we're left alone, and I think it's very good that with all your experience, you just provide some help to students that want to improve their writing. I mean, people want to take it seriously, and they need help and tools, and I think it's very good that you offer them this course. I think for all those that are interested, they're going to be in the show notes below this video. We're going to have the links to the blog site of Olga, to the course, and to the book we mentioned, to the 4-Hour Work Week, and all relevant links are going to be under the video.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that right now I'm promoting it. So there is an offer for a limited time. So if it resonates with you and you think like, yeah, I really want to do this, so check that as soon as possible. So you're going to get like a really good offer right now.
Excellent. Well, I think we could leave it at this point for now. I think for sure we're going to have more conversations, you and me, because I really like it. And we always come up with a lot of useful tips for scientists.
Yeah, and it's fun. So yeah, definitely, let's do it again.
Okay, Olga, it's been a pleasure. Talk to you next time.
Yes. Okay. All the best to everyone, and bye.